Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about all things Disney. So we are going to Disney in a few days, and instead of doing a pack with me part 2, I decided to just do a little tips video and kind of include what I was going to say in the pack with me. I have been going to Disney regularly for almost 20 years now. I went my first time when I was 5 years old, and I've been obsessed ever since. I've learned some things along the way, some tips and tricks on how to make your trip a little bit better, a little bit more easy and convenient. So here are my tips that I've learned over the past 20 years. I did a pink eyeshadow look today, and it's like on that fine line between like cute and girly, and I have really bad pink eye. So just ignore that. Now just a disclaimer, I'm not saying like if you don't follow these your trip's gonna suck. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. These are the things that I've tried and learned throughout the years. Some things that have really made a huge difference in my trip, and sometimes just little things, like little things you haven't tried before or you haven't really thought about, and here they are. So this has to do with tips for going now during the pandemic with all the rules and changes and stuff like that. It has to do with going on a normal day, and it has to do with packing and pretty much everything in between. I'm going to kind of break it down into categories and then different tips in that category. So starting up, I want to start off with the things to note before you go. In my experience going, I definitely have a good idea of when the least busy times are. This has to do with obviously going at a normal time when there's more crowds and stuff like that. Right now, with the reservation system and stuff like that, there's obviously lower crowds. This is for if things get back to normal anytime soon. The slowest weeks to go, I think, are September 8th and that week when kids go back to school. It's amazing. There's still a crowd, but it's nothing like the busier times in Disney World. It is extremely hot, so just keep that in mind. But with the wait times, we didn't even have to use a fast pass when we went last time, and definitely a good time to go when kids go back to school and they're getting back in the swing of things. Another week I'm extremely surprised was so low with crowds was actually the week of the marathon. And I believe it's the half and the full is in the same weekend. I don't remember. It was that like second or third week in January, that time with those marathons. I accidentally booked our trip last year at those times, and I was like freaking out. I didn't know it was the time with marathons until after I booked the trip and everything, booked the flights, and I was like, oh, I was so scared. But it actually ended up being one of the least crowded times that I went, I think because people who are doing the race are like tired, they want to be in the parks all day for the rest of the day. That, and I think like regular tourists kind of stay away because they know it's going to be, well, I think it's going to be more crowded, but it's actually not. Plus the weather is like normally amazing like mid-January. All depends on the year obviously, but if you don't like the heat, definitely go that second or third week in January. It's amazing. Another thing to note before you go is to just stay on property. Unless you're, staying at a family member's house, or, you have another plan in mind, like you're going to Universal as well. If you think that staying off property is going to be cheaper than staying on property, you're wrong. It is not true, and I've learned that the hard way. We stayed off property and stayed at like a little Airbnb last trip we went, and it was a disaster, to say the least. We thought it was going to be cheaper, like buying groceries and stuff, like when we got there, taking Ubers everywhere. The place we were staying said they had a shuttle, and a lot of like off-property hotels said they have a shuttle, but those shuttles are so specific, like the times are so specific. You normally have to like make a reservation. It's like a whole thing. Also, by the time you add up all your Ubers from going to the park, coming back from the parks, maybe going back to your hotel or whatever, if you want to go somewhere off property, it definitely adds up, and it ended up being, I think, more than if we would have just stayed at a value resort. And I was only going for like 5 days, so imagine if you were going for like a week or longer trying to like Uber back and forth. Even if you were to rent a car, it's literally just going to be the same price as if you were to stay at a value resort. So if you are going just to the Disney parks and you think that it'll be cheaper to stay off property, again, unless you're staying with a family member, it's usually not worth it. Ubers in Orlando, they jack up the price, especially getting to and from the airport. Rides are usually like $30 a piece, like if you even go like a half hour. So definitely just stay on property. With the buses and the Skyliner and all the free transportation, it definitely like evens out the price of staying off property and taking a different form of transportation everywhere. So next category is what to pack. These tips will help you whether you're taking a carry-on or you just want to like pack light. These are some things that I've done before and things that I'm doing now that will really help during this heat and during the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So what to pack? First off, bring a fan. It was like $3. I got my husband one too, and I know that these are going to be super duper helpful standing in that heat, especially wearing a mask and everything. I'm a little bit nervous because I haven't worn a mask outside in the heat all day. I'm a homebody, I normally stay home, so usually if I'm wearing a mask I'm just going into a store. So I'm definitely very excited to have this with me, and again, $3 at Walmart. You really can't beat it. Another tip having to do with staying cool is to just wear, oh, shoot, I forgot my mask. Let me go grab my mask really quick. I know Disney masks that they sell are super cute and super fun. I'm obsessed with them. However, those cloth masks are super hot. Even walking around the mall, I start sweating in those things because I actually do have some from Disney and the ones they sell in the parks. My biggest tip would just be bring these little medical masks. They do have little mask vending machines outside the parks. You'll have to ask, I'm not really sure where they are at every park, but they have these kind of masks, and oh my gosh, these are definitely good for the hot weather. Like, I know the Disney ones are really cute. Every time I see someone like vlogging right now in Disney World, they always end up taking their cloth masks off because they're just like way too hot. So definitely go with these ones. We're going to be grabbing a whole bunch before we go. Also bring plenty of masks because I'm sure we're going to be sweating through those things at some point. Okay, so a next item to pack in your bag is a drawstring bag. And I talked about this in my video where I packed for Disney last time. Bring a drawstring bag. They are amazing to carry around the parks. I swear it's like you have unlimited space in your bag, and whenever I keep shoving like souvenirs, water bottles, stuff like that in the bag, I can't even feel it when I'm walking around. In my experience going to Disney for so long, they're the best bags to bring, especially because when you put your bag in the pouches on rides, you can kind of like move your items to fit the space that you're putting them in, which is amazing. So another tip having to do with the hot weather and Florida's weather is bring an umbrella. Usually June through September, it literally rains almost every single day, just like a little random storm. So bring an umbrella. Even if it doesn't say it's going to rain, just bring an umbrella with you. So another huge tip for people who get very sweaty like me, well, I'm sure anyone would in this humidity and heat. Are those little like Clean and Clear oil sheets? They're in a little blue pack. I actually don't have any right now. I have to run to the store. Like little blotting sheets. Those things obviously work for blotting oil off, but also they work amazing for sweat. And if you're someone like me who wears a lot of makeup and doesn't want to like smudge it off during the day, use those blotting sheets. They really are a multi-purpose product. Okay, so now we're going to talk about outfits. If you're someone who doesn't care about outfits, then go ahead and skip this part, but I know a lot of people my age who just love taking pictures and want to get really cute photos when you're there. I mean, I hate that I do, but I do. So here are some of my tips for you about what to bring. If you want to dress up for dinner or something, I usually will wear a sundress the whole day and just wear shorts underneath, like biker shorts, so that way if I'm going on rides, I'm not like giving everybody a show. So I usually match my dress to my ears, and then one huge tip that I have is just buy a nice white neutral pair of sneakers. And Walmart literally has these like kid looking sneakers for like $5. So I highly recommend, and definitely break them in before you go, like maybe a couple days before. But these, since they're so cheap, they can just get dirty. They'll match everything, and I feel like you can really dress them up or down. So it's great if you're packing light. They'll really match anything. If you're packing light, you don't have to pack 2 new pairs of shoes. They're perfect. We all know that Disney is now stepping up their game with their mini ears. I'm a sucker for literally all of them, especially like Haunted Mansion ones, and they now have new Tower of Terror ones. I might be splurging and buying some when I get there, but I have just discovered that Amazon has completely stepped up their Minnie Mouse and Mickey ear game. Like, there were some that I thought were just as cute as ones you get in the park or from Etsy. I actually got these ones from Amazon. They're little like Cinderella ones. They have a little tiara in here. I got my cousin some for her birthday. These were like $11 and hers were like $8. I got her little rose gold ones. They're great quality. You can find them from like multiple shops on Amazon, And if you have Prime like me and you're taking a quick trip and you don't have a lot of time to get new ears, like from Etsy or whatever, Amazon is amazing for ears. And I did not know this until like a week ago. Literally, these were $12 and they're thick too. They're like really nice quality. Obviously, Etsy has more of a variety, and if you are trying to support smaller businesses, I completely understand. But if you are, you know, more on a budget, or again, you planned a trip like a week beforehand like I did, Amazon is a great option. These ears specifically were from the shop Charmed Creations, so I think this is kind of like a small business, but they sell on Amazon. Never mind, it's made in China. Okay, so now that we've packed our bags, you know, we're ready to go, these are some tips for where to stay. These are some more tips for before you go. So, I love a Valley Resort. I always say at Valley Resorts, you know, Art of Animation, Pop Century, the All-Star Resorts, I've stayed at literally all of them. I know Art of Animation is a little bit more expensive than All-Star Resorts, but sometimes I like to splurge and stay there. But honestly, in my past experience, since a lot of the rooms are for bigger families and stuff, like the Cars area, there's a Lion King area, really like the only normal sized room for like 2 or 3 people are in the Little Mermaid rooms. And especially if you have kids, you have a family, don't stay in the Little Mermaid rooms. Don't do it. I feel so bad saying that, but if you are going into the main building at the resort, say if you go to get food or if you're bussed back from one of the parks at night, you have to walk almost a mile to get to your room. And especially in this heat, it is brutal. The rooms are cute and they're cheaper, and it's a great way to be able to stay Art of Animation. However, I, for one, do not think that the walk is worth it. I think you should stay at another Valley Resort, maybe Pop Century. The walk, man, it really just gets to you, especially if you're like starving and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go grab some food. Like, my husband's gone like without me, and he comes back to the room. I'm like, see ya in like a half hour. Like, literally, it takes so long to walk. And especially at night when you get bussed back from the park, you're just so tired, so exhausted. You have to walk another like mile to your room. And in my opinion, just stay somewhere else unless you're going to stay in one of those like family suites. Those are a little bit closer, but yeah, Little Mermaid rooms, don't do it. So this is a tip that really isn't relevant for right now with all the different stuff going on in the parks right now, everything that's not available. One of those things that is not available is fast passes. I mean, the lines are pretty short anyway, and honestly it makes me a little bit less stressed out to not have fast passes, because that way you're not like, alright, we have to be here, here, and here by this time. We have to kind of like plan stuff around it. But this tip is for when you are planning fast passes. So you're allowed 3 passes per day per park. So a lot of people don't know, but if you finish all 3 fast passes, you get to make 1 at a time. So because of that, try not to space out your fast pass times, because then if there's large crowds, again, I don't know when there's going to be large crowds again, so that way if you do this, you're not stuck with like waiting hours for another fast pass. And say if there's really long lines, you'll have to wait in those lines, you won't really have a choice. So this tip isn't super relevant right now, but it's still good for, you know, somebody watching this is going a couple years from now. Sometimes that's not possible with like the amount of fast passes that are taken up, but if you can, just try. So we officially made it to the parks and all the stuff you can do in the parks. Finally. If you've stuck around this long, then thank you. So this tip, you might all be judging me, I don't know. Y'all know how expensive buying food and drink on property is, whether it's in the hotels or in the parks. So this is just a little something to save you a few bucks every day, especially if you are staying for a long time. What we do is we get coffee cups the first day we go. They usually give you just disposable coffee cups. So on the first day, like the first morning we're there, we will get coffee, spend the like $5 or whatever it is. We will usually just throw out the lid and keep the cup and rinse it out, and then put it in my bag for the rest of the day. So that way the next day you can just use it and save that $4 or $5, especially if a lot of people are getting coffee during the day. And even having it for like 3 consecutive days is great because you're saving that little bit of money. Again, you're probably judging me, but I'm sure you know how expensive Disney can be. So if you can just like cheat the system this little bit, then I feel like it makes a huge difference. This is just for the resort, by the way, not the parks. So once you're actually in the parks, here are some things that not a lot of people do, and I guess it's stuff you wouldn't think about, especially if you have a busier schedule that you've set up for yourself. But these are some things that I've done and experienced over the years that have really like made an impact. It's the stuff I remember. It's little things that I wouldn't expect to be some of the most magical times that I've had in Disney World. So one of those things is go to Tom Sawyer's Island in Magic Kingdom. I feel like nobody goes there, and honestly I didn't go there till I was like 19, and I've been going there since I was like 5 years old. I just honestly never knew it was there, and then I was always like, oh, it's probably like dumb or whatever, but honestly, especially like midday when you're kind of tired or whatever and you ever want to like get away from the crowds, Tom Sawyer's Island is so fun. I'm not sure like if everything's open over there right now, but if you ever get the chance, go to Tom Sawyer's Island. It's so much fun. The little bridges you get to walk on are so cute. There's like little fake caves and everything, and it's so much fun. It's honestly something that I'll do like every time I go now. It's just so like different, and it almost feels like you're not in Magic Kingdom. So I highly suggest doing that if you are in the Magic Kingdom. Another thing that gets overlooked for sure is the Country Bears Jamboree. And that is honestly one of my favorite things to do, especially when it's super hot out. It's nice and air conditioned in there. Again, it's just like a break from the crowds. And I feel like it gets a bad rep. I feel like everyone thinks it's boring. Maybe I'm just like imagining it, but I feel like not a lot of people really do it. And honestly, I didn't do it until a couple years ago, and now I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so cute. I think it's so much fun. So definitely do that if you're there, just for like a break from the heat and a break from the crowds. You will not regret it, I promise. Another way to get away from the crowds is to watch the fireworks from the Main Street building. When you first walk into the parks on Main Street, where the train station is, you just walk up the stairs. There's 2 staircases going up, and there's a big balcony there. That is the best place to watch the fireworks. You're not like in the middle of a big crowd. You have a view of literally everything. They literally blast the music through the speakers, and so like you know what's going on, and you get a nice view of Magic Kingdom. It really makes it a way more magical experience. If you've never experienced like watching the fireworks from super close up, then go ahead and do that. But if you need like a break from the crowds at any point, just stand up on that balcony. The view is amazing. The experience is a lot less stressful. And that way, when fireworks are done, you can just, go on down the stairs and out the exit before everybody else. And unfortunately, they're not doing fireworks right now, but when they do restart, there's a little tip for you. So another tip that I have is to do stuff at the resorts, because honestly, they can be so much fun and so different. Like you're paying a lot of money to be in the park for the day, but it's those little experiences that again make a huge difference, and they're honestly some of the best memories that I have. So one day my husband and I decided to do the little boats, little tiny like speed boats if you will, that you can take out and go around the water in front of Magic Kingdom and in front of the Grand Floridian. It's really not expensive at all, and I can't believe like they just trust anybody to go out around like the ferry boats and stuff. They're going back and forth from chicken transportation to Magic Kingdom. I saw 2 kids like racing, and then they got pulled over by like the sea police. The sea police. Okay. So as long as you're safe and smart about it, it is one of the most fun experiences, and it's something so different. And it was really nice to just like get out of the parks for a day, but do something that, you're still on property. We drove past the Contemporary. We went and saw Discovery Island. I think that's when it was, whatever the abandoned water park is. They recently started doing something with it, but before that we could see like a lot of different like abandoned stuff, and it was so cool to see the parks and the resorts from a different point of view and just be out on the water. It was so nice. So definitely venture out of those parks and go to some resorts, because they have some amazing stuff. I think they have like horseback riding and stuff at like Fort Wilderness and stuff like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but resorts really offer some amazing things, especially the Magic Kingdom resorts. The last tip that I have for just being in the parks is just make sure you sit and take the time to take everything in. One of my favorite spots to do that is in the little like garden areas in the Magic Kingdom. I literally have just sat there, like drank some Starbucks and watched a parade go by, watched people go by. I could sit there for hours. I think it's definitely important to just sit and do that, because I feel like if you're running around all day, the whole trip can just be a blur. Definitely just give yourself some time to step away from the crowds and just kind of like take everything in. You could literally, I've seen people just like taking a nap, and I'm like, alright, I might do that one day. especially in this heat. I'm sure I will end up doing that. So that is all the tips that I have for you today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope that if you are going to Disney World soon that you have an amazing time, and please take some of these tips into consideration. I've literally been going to Disney for 20 years almost on the regular. This is my second time going just this year. I usually go like multiple times a year because I like being broke apparently. So I've definitely learned a thing or two. I at least hope you got one thing out of this video, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!